When the flight attendant's voice came over the intercom asking if there was a Major Walker on board, the entire plane went silent. The man in seat 12F, wearing an old hoodie, jeans, and a baseball cap, looked up, startled. He wasn't used to hearing that name anymore. Jacob Walker had left that life behind. The medals, the flight suit, the call sign, Falcon. These days, his world revolved around packing lunchboxes and helping his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, with homework. To everyone else on the flight, he was just another tired single dad heading home from a quick business trip. But now, as two uniformed Air Force pilots stood at the front of the cabin, scanning faces his past was knocking again, Jacob slowly raised his hand. "That's me," he said quietly. The pilot's posture shifted instantly. They snapped to attention, eyes sharp. "Sir," one of them said, voice tight with respect, "it's an honor." The whole cabin turned to look. The whispers began. "Who is he? What's going on? He looks like a regular guy." Lily tugged on his sleeve, her wide blue eyes searching his. "Daddy, why are they saluting you?" Jacob swallowed hard. "It's complicated, sweetheart. He hadn't been called Major Walker since Afghanistan, since that night when everything changed. The night his entire squadron went down in flames, except him. The night he'd chosen to walk away from the Air Force forever. As the plane began taxiing, one of the pilots came closer. "Sir, your service saved our unit. You're the reason I'm flying today. We just wanted to say, thank you." Jacob nodded, trying to smile. "You don't owe me anything." But the pilot's words pierced deeper than he expected. All these years, he'd carried guilt, not glory. Every medal felt heavier than it looked. Every salute felt undeserved. The flight was quiet for the next 20 minutes. Jacob leaned back, staring out the window as the clouds rolled by. His mind drifted to the last time he'd been in the air under a different sky, chasing enemy aircraft. His hands trembling over the throttle, hearing his squadmate's last words echo through the radio. He clenched his jaw. He had promised himself he'd never fly again. Not after that. Then, as the plane leveled off, Lily rested her head on his shoulder. "Daddy," she whispered, "are you a hero?" He hesitated, eyes burning. "No, honey. Heroes are the ones who didn't make it home." She frowned softly. "But they said you saved them." He turned toward her, his voice trembling with emotion. "Sometimes saving others means losing a part of yourself. Sweetheart, natural call to action. If stories like this remind you of the quiet heroes walking among us, the parents, the veterans, the ones who never seek the spotlight, then take a moment right now to like, share, and subscribe to Broken Chains. Let's keep telling the stories that honor their courage and their pain." As the plane approached cruising altitude, the captain's voice came through the speakers again, this time warmer, almost reverent. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special passenger on board tonight. Major Jacob Walker, retired Air Force, call sign Falcon, is traveling with us. Major Walker was awarded the Silver Star for Valor in Operation Silent Eagle." The cabin broke into quiet applause. Jacob froze, embarrassed. He hadn't told anyone about that mission, not even Lily. He'd never wanted recognition. But Lily's face lit up like sunshine. "Daddy, you're famous!" He chuckled weakly. "Not famous, sweetie, just old news." As the passengers clapped, one elderly man across the aisle stood up, trembling slightly. "My son served in that operation. He never came home." "Thank you, Major." Jacob's chest tightened. He stood, walked over, and shook the man's hand. He was brave. They all were. Tears welled in the man's eyes. He always talked about Falcon, the pilot who covered their retreat. "He said you saved their lives." Jacob's throat closed. He wanted to say something, anything, but all that came out was a quiet, broken, "I'm sorry." The man nodded. "No, son. You gave me closure." The plane landed in Denver at dusk. The passengers began to gather their things, murmuring their goodbyes. As Jacob lifted Lily's pink backpack from the overhead bin, he heard the pilot again. "Major Walker," he called softly. "Before you go, would you honor us by visiting the cockpit?" Jacob hesitated. The smell of jet fuel, the hum of engines, it all brought memories rushing back. But Lily's tiny hand slipped into his. "Please, Daddy? I want to see where you used to fly." He smiled faintly. "Okay, just for a minute." They stepped inside the cockpit, where blinking lights painted the walls in soft amber hues. The two young pilots stood aside respectfully. "Sir, the controls are yours," one said. Jacob placed a trembling hand on the yoke. It felt like shaking hands with an old ghost. For a moment, he was back in the sky, free, terrified, alive. Lily giggled. "Daddy, you look happy." He blinked away tears. "Yeah, baby, I am." One of the pilots looked at him with admiration. "We read about you in training, sir. You broke protocol to save your wingman." Jacob looked down, voice low. "And I'd do it again." The pilot nodded. "That's what being a hero means, sir." Jacob took a deep breath. For the first time in years, the word didn't sting. It didn't feel like a lie. As they walked down the jet bridge, Lily looked up at him. "Daddy, will you ever fly again?" He smiled softly. "Maybe someday. But right now, I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Outside, the sun was setting behind the terminal, a sky painted in gold and crimson, like the horizon was saluting him goodbye. Jacob lifted Lily into his arms. "Come on, co-pilot. Let's go home." And as they disappeared into the crowd, the two F-22 pilots watched from a distance, still standing at attention, paying silent respect to the man who had once been their legend, and now was simply a father trying to live in peace.